Hi guys! As always, I'm Kate, and today I've got a story for you guys. It's part of the reason behind the story, I guess, is why I took my gap year. As you may or may not know, I show dogs competitively, and the reason I took my gap year was so I could show my dog Jerry Lee at Westminster. And a story that a lot of people request me tell is how I got to Westminster. So I live down on Cape Cod, and the week before Westminster, we got this wicked bad blizzard. It was, I forget what they named it, but it was awful. And we had like 3 feet of snow, I'm not even kidding you, and we're snowed in. We had no power for like 4 days. My road hadn't been plowed. I live on like a dirt road in the middle of East Jesus nowhere. And so I was literally giving myself an aneurysm over the fact of I'm not going to make it to New York. It's a $75 entry fee. The hotel was ridiculous. Paying for it was just, it was crazy. And so I was so upset that I wasn't going to be able to make it. And so finally, like, the day before, I was showing on a Monday, and so the day before, on the Sunday, at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, finally this guy plows out our street. It's not even like one of the town workers. It's like this guy who lives on the street. And so then I like shoveled out my driveway because the snow was too deep to drive out of. And so then we get down to the street, and we're like, yeah, we're home free, we're on our way to New York, right? Not so. This like tree falls down right in front of us, and these power lines get all caught up in it, and we stop right before we like hit the tree. So we start freaking out. And now I'm like a mile down the road, and there's none of our cell phones are really working. All the towers are shot out. There's nothing we can do pretty much. So I run back a mile up the road in like the sloppiest sweatpants and Uggs and just awful looking, and I find this guy, the guy who had plowed out the street, and I was like, please come tow out my car, I'm begging you. And my mom's in the car like crying, and she's calling 911 because she doesn't know what to do. It's literally like a state of emergency, like no one's supposed to be driving, but I really had to get to New York. So the guy comes down, and it's such a pain in the ass to tow our car, something like we're never going to get to go. And then we like, there's this side street that's really, really narrow, but it was plowed through, and we could pass through. So we are passing through, and this car drives up, and I'm like leaning out the window yelling at him like, no, I need to get out of here, pull over. And so he goes up this random driveway, and we get through, and we're like, yes, this is awesome, we're on our way. So we're driving, and then we realize, we're really hungry. We've had 4 days with no power, no food, no nothing. So we're like in Rhode Island, I think, and we're like, let's go stop at a Wendy's. So we're at this intersection, and we're at a red light. And this car comes from the middle of nowhere and just hits us. Just plows right into us. And I screamed so loud, my phone got thrown out of my hands. I'm like, Jesus Christ, could this get any worse? And so we go into Wendy's, and I go and make sure Jerry Lee, my dog, is okay in his crate. And he's fine. So these people, like, don't show up. They don't come back. And I'm like, wow, this is awesome. This is great. And so I'm in Wendy's, my mom and my sister in the bathroom, and I'm ordering our food and waiting for it, and this guy comes running in. Does anyone know who owns that white van out in the parking lot? I was like, yeah, that's mine. He goes, I just hit you, I'm so sorry. I was like, that's okay. He's like, I don't have my phone because I haven't been able to charge it because we haven't had power. Can I use your phone? Sure. And then his wife comes in, they have a baby, and I'm like, oh my god, is your baby okay? They're like, yeah, I'm so sorry. And so then I'm like, the guy takes my phone, and he calls the insurance company and everything, gives my phone back. He freaking breaks it! He breaks it! And just leaves. He broke my phone. So, on my way to New York, I had to take my spending money to buy a new phone so I could be able to, like, call home and call my boyfriend and, Facebook update everybody on what I was doing in New York. I was so pissed because that was all my spending money. And so then finally, mind you, we left at like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. We got to New York at like 1 a.m. And I had no concept of the time because that city truly never sleeps. I never would have known. So then, we get there, we check in at 1, I take a shower, I go to sleep, because that was my first shower, literally, in 4 days. And I know that sounds disgusting, but we had no power, no water, no nothing. So, try not to judge me too hard. And so, where was I? Oh, so then, by the time I'm, like, settled in, it's, like, 2 a.m., and I'm, like, time to go to bed. Tra-la-la, I have to wake up at 5 a.m. to get to Piers 94 for the dog show. Because you have a booth that you stay in. So I had to wake up at 5, get ready, get my suit on, do my makeup, do my hair, and get to the show. So I get there, and, well, first you have to take the shuttle. I was staying at the Pennsylvania, and you take the shuttle from the Pennsylvania to Piers 92 and 94. And so there were, like, no seats on the shuttle, so I'm standing up. And I get really dizzy really easily, and I faint all the time. And I literally started turning green. And there was this little southern lady next to me. She's like, "Oh, honey, you need to put your wrist up against the window to get the condensation. It's going to cool you off." And I'm like, "Okay," as I'm ready to barf. And so my mom's, like, in this motorized wheelchair, so she can't really, like, carry anything. And my sister's not, like, she didn't want to really carry anything. She was, I don't know, maybe she's not that strong. But anyway, so I had my dog and this big wire crate, and I'm, like, stumbling. I probably looked really drunk or just a mess. I was a hot mess that morning. And, all of a sudden, I, like, thought I dropped the crate. I was so out of it. But this guy, another southern person, comes up. He's like, "Oh, honey, don't you worry. I'm going to get this for you. Take me to your booth." I was like, "Okay." And so he just takes my crate to my booth for me, and I never saw him again. I've never seen him at Dog Show since. But he was so nice, and I wish I knew who he was so I could thank him, because that really, like, helped me out. But, so we get there, and I'm, like, sitting in this booth. I've got my head between my knees. I'm ready to puke everywhere. Mom's like, "You need to get ready." I was like, "Don't you think I know that?" She's like, "Here, have water, have Mountain Dew, have chocolate, have this." I'm like, I don't want to eat right now. So I'm sick, and I'm, like, running to the bathroom because I feel like I'm going to puke, but I'm not. And then I, like, magically feel better. And we're grooming the dogs, and we're getting ready, and one of the ladies comes up running, and she's like, "Hurry up, because he's almost done with Border Collies, and German Shepherds are in next." I'm like, "Oh my freaking God." And so we go over there. He had just started Border Collies. He wasn't even close to being on for Shepherds. We had, like, another hour. And I was like, "You've got to be kidding me." I freaked out for nothing. So we get over there, and I have one of the other, parents holding my bag for me, and, everyone's happy and giggly, and we're going in the ring, and it's great, and me and Jerry Lee showed beautiful. It's probably one of the best times we've ever performed. And we didn't win, but I had such a good time. I was so happy to be in New York, and that night I got to go watch the groups at Madison Square Garden, and I went out to dinner with my sister, and we got some awesome New York pizza. But that's pretty much my horror story of trying to get to Westminster. But I will tell you guys, it was so totally worth it. And even if you're not into dogs or anything like that, go to the show, because it is so much fun to watch. And, when we were in the booth, people were, like, coming up to me, like, they knew who me and Jerry Lee were. Either they followed him on Instagram or me on Instagram, or they just, people talking, like, he has a Facebook page. You can go like Jerry Lee on Facebook. And people just knew who we were. And I was really shell-shocked at, like, how famous I was. Like, people, like, for weeks after, people were, like, calling my house saying, like, they had pictures of me and Jerry Lee and wanted to know if they could have the rights to them to use them in advertising. I was like, sure. But, like, it was crazy. And, like, my local newspaper did a whole big article on me, and it was just really cool to be really famous for a while. And even still, like, if I go to PetSmart or Petco with Jerry Lee, like, people recognize me. And one guy was like, "What are the odds of seeing you here with Jerry Lee?" I was like, "Pretty good. I come here, like, once a week." But Westminster was awesome. It was well worth my gap year and well worth all the trouble I went through getting there. And I hope you enjoy my Westminster story. Remember to follow me on Twitter, like the Facebook page, follow me on Tumblr, follow Megan on Instagram. And tomorrow we will start shooting How to Survive the Zombie Apocalypse. And we will see you guys soon. Bye, guys.